Good evening. Welcome to Bernlohr Field here at Bernlohr Stadium. And tonight we have OAC action. Capital playing host to the Wilmington Fighting Quakers out of Wilmington, Ohio. In a second game of the OAC season, Capital coming off a big win against our rivals over in Westerville, the Otterbein Cardinals, and trying to keep that momentum here tonight in already game 2 of OAC play this season. As always, kind of just flies along. And once again, here we are in the middle of OAC play, and feels like it just started, and it did just start, but it also feels like, we're in the thick of things for the rest of the season here. So, Capital again playing host to Wilmington tonight, game 2, and a team that was projected to finish third in the OAC knocks off the team that's supposed to win this conference in Otterbein, and that really shakes things up, and we haven't even started the season here in conference play. It's kind of crazy already looking at the standings and seeing Otterbein at 0-1, the team that was supposed to win this conference. So here we are, and now the target is kind of on Capital's back here at home, and they've got a tough Wilmington team that comes into this one. Wilmington, a program that's kind of been hit or miss in recent years, and started to really show some strides in recent years. They lost 2-1 to John Carroll in their opener on October 1st as well. They moved to 6-4 on the season. But this is a different Quakers team that we're used to seeing, and can really score, kind of surprisingly. They have scored 1.7 goals per game, which is, again, an improvement where they've been in past years. Nick Kinder is the new head coach, first season for the Quakers. He's actually a Quaker alum. In 2010 was his year of graduation. And, again, his first year leading the Fighting Quakers into battle. So his first trip here to Bernlohr. More on that game from Otterbein in a minute, but we did have a second game as well. I wanted to recap before we start things here today, and that's going back to September 28th. A draw with Wittenberg at 1-1 was the final score of that game. The goal scorer for Capital was Sophia Leonetti. Capital kind of split the time in net there between Lauren White and Liv Alford, and the goal was allowed by Lauren White. She came out early in the second half. Alford came in, and since then has kind of been more of a controversy in net than we're used to seeing. If you go back to the Otterbein game, Lauren White played all 90 minutes, but in this game tonight, Alford's making the start. So more on that kind of goalie situation right now. Capital kind of in flux there, and we might see Lauren White still in this game. Who knows? Both have been kind of playing a little bit more, and it looked like Lauren White was going to be taking and running that job. Alford came in 2 games ago, didn't play against Otterbein, gets the start tonight. So kind of a head scratcher there, but not to question what's going on down on the field, but just a little bit of a surprise from what we've seen up here from our position up in the box. The Otterbein game, crazy game. Capital ended up taking the lead on a goal from Avery Hart, her 5th of the season, in the 36th minute. So Capital was pretty much in control of this game. We go to the 89th minute, and Angeli Anderson scores on the other side with, again, a minute 13 left in the contest. It looks like we're going to overtime. And a minute later, with 11 seconds left on the clock, 89-49 time of goal, Taylor Markham scores and gets a win for Capital. And a kind of shocking upset. Again, first, playing at Otterbein, the team that is favored to win the conference. Capital was in control of the game. It looked like it slipped away, and a huge response to get a goal with a minute left in the game, a minute after you just looked like you coughed up your lead that you had worked so hard for 89 minutes, and really shows a lot about the heart of this team. And we'll see if they can carry that into the matchup here with Wilmington here today, because this team's flying high now and might be in the position as the team to beat now in the conference by getting that win on the road against a really tough opponent in Otterbein. And it again, really shakes things up in the OAC, even though we haven't even started yet. Now it kind of changes that narrative in terms of which team is going to take this thing and run with it. The second team that that was getting a lot of first place votes in the coaches poll was Ohio Northern. That's another team to keep an eye on as they're 6-1-2. They have the best overall record in the conference, and they're also 1-0. They play at Capital here on October 8th, a 1 o'clock game on Saturday. So this is huge for Capital right here. You knock off Ohio Northern in that game on Saturday, which is always a really tough one. If Capital comes away with those 2 wins, they're definitely sitting at the top of this conference, and everybody's going to be gunning for them at that point. Haven't yet kind of earned that yet. I think Saturday is going to be the real test there, which brings us to today in a real trap game situation against a Wilmington team that is really competitive. As I said, sometimes this team has kind of been on the downswing in terms of the Quakers, but this year they look like a pretty competitive team and should be in for a good game here tonight. And Capital's in a situation where they cannot overlook this opponent. All the cliches and all of that definitely part of this conversation. Let's get to the starting lineup. So we mentioned in net, Liv Alford's going to be making the start. Alford, a freshman out of Dublin-Coffin High School in Dublin, Ohio. 5'4", and replacing Lauren White, who just won against Otterbein. And that's not the only changes in the lineup. So Lexi Snyder out tonight. Her foot is in a boot. We don't know more beyond that, but that's not a good sign, obviously. One of the more versatile players for Capital and probably one of their best players. And she will be out tonight. So that is a big loss for Capital. Meanwhile, still without Aaliyah Berletic in this starting lineup, and she will be out tonight as well. And then just a change in general. It seems like Catherine Zagaro not in the starting lineup for Capital. So who is inserted? Well, the game-winning goal scorer from Saturday, Taylor Markham, is in the starting lineup tonight. Lizzie Elliott, another exciting freshman forward for this team, is in the starting lineup tonight. Elle Pelletier, who had been starting for Berletic and was replaced in the starting lineup 2 games ago, last game against Otterbein, is back in the starting lineup again. So it's kind of a weird alignment. We're going to have to see how it plays out on the field. But a lot of freshmen being thrown into the lineup today. We'll have the full lineup for you in just a second here. As you can see, the team's making their way out to midfield. And we'll run through the lineups after our public address announcements.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, welcome to Bernlohr Field at Bernlohr Stadium on the campus of Capital University for tonight's Ohio Athletic Conference women's soccer match featuring the visiting Quakers of Wilmington College and your Capital University Comets. Fans, at this time, let's meet the starting lineups. First for the visiting Quakers. The goalkeeper, number 1, Lauren Galloway. Number 3, Katie Bradford. Number 4, Malia Houston. Number 6, Haley Fulton. Number 7, Elizabeth Matthews. Number 14, Emma Mengus. Number 15, Gabriella Gordon. Number 17, Jada Poland. Number 23, Madison Van Such. Number 25, Alex Wilson. Number 26, Jenna Victor. And the Quakers are led by head coach Nick Kinder and assisted by Maria Paparella and Alex Farmer. And now, fans, the starting lineup for your Capital University Comets. In goal, a freshman from Dublin, Ohio, number 0, Liv Alford. At defense, a freshman from Chillicothe, number 2, Elle Pelletier. At defense, a sophomore from Columbus, number 4, Abby English. At midfield, a senior from Hilliard, number 8, Madeline Woodruff. At midfield, a sophomore from Dublin, number 12, Nicole Ogden. At forward, a freshman from Dublin, number 14, Lizzie Elliott. At forward, a senior from Pickerington, number 15, Avery Hart. At defense, a junior from Pickerington, number 16, Haley Moore. At forward, a freshman from Gahanna, number 23, Taylor Markham. At midfield, a junior from Westerville, number 25, Sophia Leonetti. And at forward, a sophomore from West Liberty, number 29, Grace Estes. Your Comets are led by head coach Matt Ogden in his 8th season, assisted by Megan Wharton and Giovanni Salinas. And now, fans, at this time, we ask those who are able to please rise, and gentlemen, remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
All right, welcome back up to the broadcast booth here at Bernlohr Stadium. Again, Capital playing host to Wilmington. You just heard your starting lineups, but we can run through them again just to make them a little bit more clear for you guys again. In net tonight, Liv Alford, the freshman, gets the start. She's joined by Elle Pelletier, Abby English, Maddie Woodruff, Nicole Ogden, Lizzie Elliott, Avery Hart, Haley Moore, Taylor Markham, Sophia Leonetti, and Grace Estes. On the other side for the Wilmington College Fighting Quakers, Lauren Galloway gets the start in net. She's a senior, one of the more veteran goalkeepers in the conference, joined by Katie Bradford, Malia Houston, Haley Fulton, Elizabeth Matthews, Emma Menges, Gabriella Gordon, Jada Pullen, Madison Van Such, Alex Wilson, Jenna Victor. Quakers will be in their green unis, moving from right to left with the bright lettering on the back that we appreciate up here. Capital not so much in the home white uniforms with the gray numbering. That's a little bit harder for us to decipher. So questions on the alignment here. I mentioned all of the different players out, Lexi Snyder out, and kind of the big one on the outside wing there. So actually Taylor Markham is playing on the outer left wing to start things off. Kind of more of a defensive role, but again, the wings play up in this alignment for Coach Ogden. So that's where Markham is positioned, replacing Snyder in the starting lineup. Across the back, then you've got Moore and English in the center back positions as normal. Elle Pelletier returns on the right wing, which was a spot for Berletic, which she is kind of taking over as. And then up top, Avery Hart is your striker. You have Estes to the right, and to the left, Lizzie Elliott. In the attacking midfield, you have Madeline Woodruff, and then Ogden and Leonetti in their normal midfield positions, kind of on the more defensive-minded side of things. So Zugaro replaced by Elliott in the starting lineup on the top left wing. She has the ball right now. Don't know what the story is there. Might just be getting a different look, and Elliott certainly has earned it. She's played very well. And we saw Coach go to a really short bench in his last game against Otterbein. Only 2 players came off the bench, one of them being Taylor Markham, who scored the game-winning goal. Taylor Markham was in the starting lineup in that game. Lizzie Elliott was the one who had came off the bench, and Tori Cottrell was the only other sub that came in that game. She played 14 minutes of that contest. Lexi Snyder played all 90 minutes, but she's out today with a foot injury. Her foot's in a boot. We don't know the full story beyond that, but hopefully something that's not going to be a long-term situation. We mentioned Aaliyah Berletic not in the game, and she's been out for a while, but some positive signs. She is going through some workouts tomorrow and kind of reassessing if she's going to be able to make a return this season, which would be a huge lift for this offense. Quakers have yet to really possess the ball here in this one, and just as I say that, they had a foot on it. Emma Menges had it, and taken away by Leonetti. In terms of the goal scorers this season for Capital, an update there. Avery Hart scored her 5th goal of the season since we've last been on the air. 2 goals from Madeline Woodruff and Taylor Markham as well as your multiple goal scorers for Capital. In terms of the conference lead, Peter, we'll get on that in a second, is out in front of everybody's Hart, and she's going to make a dent into that. Actually, that might be Elliott from Hart. It is Elliott who comes from the left wing position to the top of the formation, and Lizzie Elliott has scored for Capital. We are not even 3 minutes into this game, and Capital continues the positive momentum that they built in the rivalry win on Saturday, and they get the scoring off today. Lizzie Elliott on the assist from Avery Hart. That's Hart's first assist of the season. And for Elliott, that is her first career goal in her first career start. So congratulations to her. And a very good combination of Hart to Elliott.
Capital goal scored by Lizzie Elliott, her first career goal. Assist to Grace Estes.
Actually, they changed the scoring now, giving it Estes. On my stats here, it had Hart, so you hear them announce that it was actually Estes on the assist. So we'll update the numbers there. Estes with her 2nd assist on the season now. as she finds Lizzie Elliott, who again looked like Avery Hart as she was in that same similar kind of position at the top of the formation in the center striker role there. And Elliott filling that space beautifully. Good find from Estes. And Lizzie Elliott did the rest, beating the back line from Wilmington to get Capital on the board early. Wilmington had won three in a row prior to their current 2-game losing streak that they're on, and have returned to finding some struggles scoring goals this season. They do have Alex Wilson, who is tied with Avery Hart for 4th in the conference with 5 goals. She is number 25, and she's a freshman as well out of Lebanon, Ohio, down in the Cincinnati area, and a key player to keep a look at in this one. Ball's going to come clear through to Alford, and she'll scoop this one up. Wilmington, in terms of their goal scoring this season, again, some of this is non-conference, so it's very hard to lay a lot of weight in this, but they are middle of the road, 1.7 goals per game. Capital coming into this one at just 1.5, but their offense has been showing new signs of life here in the last few games, seeming to figure some things out. Went through kind of a tough period at the end of non-conference play, but seemed to have come out the other side of that, able to score more goals. In addition to Wilson with her 5 goals, Wilmington also has another freshman, Shannon Jameson, who is not in the starting lineup today and has missed the last 2 games for Wilmington. But in 8 games played, she had 5 goals, but she is not in the lineup here today. So another key injury on the other side for the opposition. We mentioned the couple of injuries for Capital. Similar issues going on the other side. Maddie Scott, a 3-goal scorer. She's missed the last few games for the other side as well. She is not in the lineup today. Elizabeth Matthews has 2 goals. She's number 7 on the other team. On the other team, that is. A corner kick here from Woodruff. Nothing really threatening off of that. Estes has it now, trying to keep it in bounds up the end zone there, and it goes through for a goal kick. So that's 8 goals from 2 players not in the lineup today from Wilmington. And that is probably part of the reason we've seen the recent struggle. I mentioned on a 2-game losing streak now, and a lot of that is just inability to score. They've scored 1 goal in their last 2 games. Before that, they scored 1 goal in a 1-0 win. So their last 3 games, 2 total goals scored, and starting to look for new answers offensively with 2 key scorers out. Alex Wilson will be asked to carry a lot of that load, and she's on the left of your screen, just off camera now at midfield, number 25, kind of playing that same striker spot as Avery Hart on this side for Capital. So keep an eye out for her. Speaking of 25, here's Leonetti keeping this play alive. Pelletier trying to find something on the near sideline here, working with Wilmington's defense, and it's kicked off of Pelletier by Jenna Victor. Just getting started here in the 7th minute of the contest. 1-0 Capital out in front and an early goal from Lizzie Elliott. And always nice to get a lead early in the game. And obviously Capital will be looking for more here. But always tough. It feels like the field is uphill when you let that first one in early. And Wilmington has not really possessed possession here much. Thrown in on the far sideline by Markham. Ogden feeds it to Woodruff, back to Ogden. Now Nicole has a lot of space. Will chip one through to the high side of the field. Estes trying to run it down, and it's kicked away from her defensively by Haley Fulton. Fulton will come all the way up to keep the pressure on here, try to set up the offense on the other side. Not much doing. Pelletier tries to feed it through 3 players. Got a foot on it, did Avery Hart. And Wilmington comes away with possession now, and they try to settle things back down. This is Gabriella Gordon, the center of this defense, with her partner Malia Houston to her right. Gordon Nice pass forward to Poland. Poland trying to switch fields now. Woodruff trying to defend, and it's dropped back once again by Wilmington. And finally, demonstrating some ball control here and trying to find some space in this Capital defense. Played back again to Gordon. And Gordon now goes for the through ball on the near sideline. That is knocked down by Estes with some help from Pelletier. Now sent back on again. Pelletier has control, plays it to Estes. Estes now gives it to Leonetti, and Leonetti punches it upfield. Elliott gets the first touch, and Elliott trying to show off some of that speed. Back line for Cap is there to help out, and Leonetti gets it up to Estes now. A lot of good possession now from both teams being demonstrated here in the last minute or so. And Capital will win possession with the ball being kicked out of bounds. Pelletier to throw it in. Four freshmen and two sophomores making the start tonight for Capital. So the underclassmen outnumber the upperclassmen, interestingly enough. And it's so far Estes to Elliott, two of those underclassmen who have put Capital up in this one. The move to Alford makes kind of a head scratcher. Again, not to we don't know the full story up here, but in terms of the goalkeeping situation, this is Alford's second start of the season only. She's played 223 minutes. She's been good, 81% save percentage, a 1.21 GAA. And Lauren White, has been good as well, 1.27 GAA. She's allowed 7 goals in just under 500 minutes in net. And maybe a good problem. Two good players in net for Capital. And we mentioned White played most of the game against Wittenberg, led in a goal, and early in the second half was replaced by Alford. And then 90 minutes against Otterbein, all 90 played by White. You think, okay, we're in conference play, time to lean on the senior. And that makes sense. And today we see Alford. So maybe this competition in net is not over yet. And who knows? We might see White in the second half of this game. And if not, we might see Alford play all 90 minutes. And we might see White on Saturday against Ohio Northern. Be interesting to see how that plays out. Nice. Oh, they're going to call a foul against Wilmington. Wilson was coming to the front of the box there. I don't know if that was a handball or a foul called against Wilson there. And again, don't want to speculate on the status of Lauren White, but she is in uniform down there. I see the yellow goalie socks similar to what Alford has on it in her kit. So it would seemingly just be a coach's decision here to put Alford in and see what comes of that. That ball hits exactly off the flag in the corner and goes out of bounds for a throw-in, went to the left side of the stick there. So that's an unfortunate circumstance. Not sure why that ball was kicked behind the net by the Shaggers here. Thrown in, and ball was loose at the top of the box. Woodruff trying to square up on it. Now Leonetti will. And Leonetti had it kicked off of her foot, probably not where she wanted to put that. And now Wilmington's on the counterattack. They don't have any kind of numbers here. And the ball pushed out in front of Wilson is scooped up by Alford. Alford will drop it on the turf quickly now. Abby English to Pelletier, kept in bounds. Pelletier, nice find to Leonetti. And those three are working together to try to get this out of the zone. Pelletier back to Leonetti, and she'll play it back to the keep. Alford. Wilson puts pressure on. Pass goes to English instead. Dangerous pass to Leonetti in the middle of the field, but it's received cleanly. Pelletier loses it now, and it's taken by Poland. Poland battling with Pelletier now. Huge size advantage for Poland. She sends a cross into Wilson. Wilson got a foot on it, but not a lot behind it. And nicely done defensively there from Abby English to deny a good scoring, good zone for a shot to be shot there by Wilson, just out in front of the net. Ball's thrown back in and taken away by Estes now. And Wilmington once again recollects possession. Van Such puts it back to Gordon. And Gordon looks like she wants to drop it back and will. Avery Hart will hound defensively now. And that pass, an errant one, right to Nicole Ogden. Cap with Estes now trying to feed it to Woodruff, the two playing in each other's positions there. Good job by Woodruff to fill that space, and now Estes goes to Woodruff, trying to work a give to go, and Woodruff loses it from behind by Gordon now. Gordon and Woodruff battle again, and that's going to be a throw-in for Capital. Good action in the early going of this one. Capital still leads 1-0. A substitution for Wilmington, Heidi Edens came in very early in this one. She replaced Menges in the midfield. That was about 4 minutes ago. No changes for Capital yet. Avery Hart steps in front of that clearance opportunity. Now Estes gets a steal, and Cap has some possession deep in the Wilmington territory, but Gordon will escort that to the sideline. Probably didn't need to. Looked like the Quakers had some space to kind of get that one out, but instead they kick it out of bounds to relieve some pressure. Leonetti gets the steal, help from Woodruff, and cleared by Wilmington. And they are just really trying to rocket something to Wilson and get her loose. And there's just so many white jerseys around Wilson here, she's not able to do anything with it. And Markham will collect for Capital. Haley Moore has been a solid force in the defensive unit for Capital. She played a lot as a freshman and as a sophomore, and kind of had some up and down starts younger in her career. We've seen her in the middle of the defense, and we see her not in there for a few games and back out there, and she has been really solid in her junior year. They've needed some consistency back there, and her and English have seemed to figure out that pairing together, and been really solid as center backs. And Moore was recently named an OAC Defensive Player of the Week. 15 minutes have gone by, 1-0 Capital. Pelletier working with Estes to get some run here, and that will be kicked out of bounds again by Wilmington. Full night of OAC action. We mentioned this is game 2 on the schedule. Winners in the first round of games on Saturday to run through those. See what happens with this run here first. Elliott trying to center. Good defense. Now good ball movement there from Elliott. And kicked out of bounds for a goal kick. Ohio Northern, Capital, Heidelberg, John Carroll, and Marietta all at 1-0 as things stand. And Wilmington, Baldwin Wallace, Mount Union, Muskingum, and Otterbein on the other side of that at 0-1. Corner kick swung in, headed out by Gordon, sent back on by Markham, right in front of the net. It's still loose. It's still loose. Ogden's there. The goalie's on the ground, and it's kicked out of bounds. A lot of chaos, but nothing resulting in the end. Marietta defeated Baldwin Wallace 1-0 on Saturday. John Carroll 2-1 over Wilmington. And don't, for some reason, have the rest of those final scores up, but we did tell you who won and lost in that OAC first round matchups. We have 4 other games in action tonight, which we'll get to after this run here. Capital will play this all the way back down. And played up now by Alford to Wilmington. Was able to get those other 2 scores. 3-0 Heidelberg over Muskingum. 3-1 Ohio Northern over Mount Union on Saturday. Tonight, Muskingum is traveling to Marietta. No update there yet. Otterbein and Ohio Northern tied at 0 in the 17th minute. Heidelberg and John Carroll yet to get an update going there. That one's being played at John Carroll. And then Mount Union leads 1-0 over Baldwin Wallace. A goal in that one scored by Olivia McLean from the Purple Raiders. Wilmington last year finished 3-5-1. They were the first team out of the playoffs in the OAC, and looking to try to change that this season, obviously. They faced off with John Carroll and lost in their first game. John Carroll finished 8th last season. Capital had an identical 7-1-1 record to Ohio Northern. On a tiebreaker, they were the 3 seed in the OAC tournament, and Otterbein last year won the conference at 8-1. So that Otterbein Ohio Northern game tonight, pretty big. Back in 2019, that's the last time someone went unbeaten in conference play. That was when Ohio Northern went 9-0. So that is kind of the gold standard right now that teams are looking to emulate that season. Ohio Northern went 18-3-3 that season. In 2018, Otterbein won the conference with an 8-0-1 record. Ball's headed on right in front of the net and sent over the net by Jada Pullen. Capital catches a break. Now, last year with the finish from Otterbein at 8-1, that was the first time, ignoring the COVID spring kind of year, that any team won this conference without running the table in conference play since 2016, when Ohio Northern went 8-1 to win the conference. And usually it takes a team to go on a run like that, and you cannot afford to slip up ever. We saw that with Capital back in 2015. They went undefeated and won the conference at 9-0, and that's usually kind of what it takes. So the real test, I guess, of that will be tonight between Ohio Northern and Otterbein, to see if Otterbein beats Ohio Northern. Then that kind of puts a lot of pressure on the game on Saturday with Capital. Probably a lot of pressure on that game anyway, but if Ohio Northern comes in with a loss to that game, if Capital wins, it puts them in serious control of this conference, because they'd have a tiebreaker over both teams and would be atop the conference, and seemingly at that point they would need to lose twice, and still you would need Otterbein or Ohio Northern to basically win out at that point. So this can get really in Capital's favor in just the first 3 games of conference play. If they take care of business with a 3-0 start, and maybe even have Otterbein help out, give Ohio Northern their first loss, and then if Capital, well, I guess either way, because if Otterbein loses tonight and has 2 losses and Capital wins the game against Ohio Northern, they'd be in the same situation. So either way, if Capital comes out with a 3-0 start, their 2 main teams of competition would already be past them on the schedule. They'd have tiebreakers over each potentially, and again, really in the driver's seat at that point. Would basically need to lose 2 of those last 6 games to give up the OAC championship. So the conference really can be won in this first 3 games here for Capital if they do everything correctly. They're battling through some injuries. Nice moves by Pelletier here, and that is going to make it through to Elliott. I didn't think so, and because of that, it had to be cleared away. Excellent ball from Pelletier. So yeah, Capital getting some big minutes out of some underclassmen in this game could be huge down the stretch. Give this team a little bit more depth, and hopefully get some healthy players back in Snyder and Berletic and the like. Could have some serious options down the stretch here for Capital. Be interesting to see Saturday who gets the start in goal. If Alford plays this entire game and gets the shutout, obviously we're 70 minutes away from that, but it'll be interesting to see if they go with White on Saturday against Ohio Northern, as Alford makes a big-time save right there. Nicely done. Was kind of screened from that shot and still dove to the right to make the save. Liv's been really good, and Lauren's been really good. And it's a good problem to have when you got two back there. Throwing coming for Wilmington. But first we have a whistle. Maddie Scott is checking into the game. We mentioned she's one of the goal scorers that had been missing time for Wilmington. Well, she's back apparently tonight, maybe just not getting the start as they're working on her fitness, getting her back into game shape. So that is a big return there. Maddie Scott, she has scored 3 goals this season for Wilmington. Again, the team that has scored just 2 goals in their last 3 games coming in still hasn't found a goal here tonight. Estes tries the left-footed through ball to Avery Hart, and that did not make it through. Good defense, or I guess attack here from Leonetti. Gets it to Elliott, puts it on the left foot, and it's rolled away from her. Now she comes sliding in and gets the steal. Elliott plays it out wide, and now Markham has it. Markham, the hero from Saturday, passing it off now. This is Woodruff getting it to Hart. Hart fakes to Woodruff, now passes to Woodruff, trying to get through some traffic. A passer shot blocked, and the loose ball hit on by Ogden. Estes turns inside. Good defense there from Gordon. Leonetti keeping the pressure on, and that's going to be a throw-in for Wilmington. .20:30 to play. First half action, 1-0 Capital. And another throw-in coming from the Quakers. They didn't really get anywhere with the first throw-in. They try to go farther upfield here, and Pelletier sends it into the bench. Two shots for Capital, 2 shots for Wilmington early in this contest. 1 save for Alfred Galloway, has not recorded a save as each team only has 1 shot on goal. Capitals happen to go in, and we just saw that save from Alfred a minute ago on their best opportunity the other night. Markham plays upfield. Elliott unable to run it down, and Wilmington will play it back to their defense once again. Nice pass by Gordon to the midfield. It's pinballing around, and Wilmington will control for now until Elliott comes sliding back in. Another slide tackle for her. Good takeaway here from Fulton, and he'll play it back once again. Capitals attack, forcing a turnover. Kicked out of bounds by Van Such. Out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Number 23 midfielder for the Quakers. Every single player on this roster from Capital is out of Ohio. That's usually what you see in the OAC. And Wilmington, has 2 players not from Ohio on their roster. A freshman out of California, Jordan Snyder, on the bench, who I believe didn't even make the trip to this game. She wasn't listed on the roster provided to us with the starters on it. And the other, of course, being Van Such, who we just mentioned. That ball's going to go out of bounds. Will it be a corner? No. Kicked out against the fencing there. Off of Wilmington, obviously, with the clear, so Markham will throw it in. Avery Hart already boxing out in front of her, and the pass goes to Hart. Hart trying to turn the corner now. She does. She's in the box, and it's back into the corner and stays in bounds. Markham tried to kick and whiffed. Ogden backs it up. Wilmington kicks it out with 2 clears. And another drop and another clear. And now trying to get it to Scott, who's offsides. You don't see offsides this far away from the net too often, but that is the proper call there. Off the free kick. Another throw-in coming for Wilmington, I guess, as Markham picked it up. 17 minutes left. First half. You'd love to take this one-goal lead in there. Wilmington trying to get the equalizer before the break. They've played a lot better here. And another shot here towards Alford. It's going well wide of the net. Alford's been up to the challenge so far for Capital. Alford will kick upfield deep on this goal kick. Headed away by the first touch for Wilmington, and now sent back in. Moore defending, and she'll win possession. Oh, had it taken away from her after she did. Crossed in. Wilson trying to control, and she used her hand, which you're not allowed to do. Handball for Capital to get a free kick now. Abby English will take it for Cap. English waits for her team to get downfield, sends it to midfield. First touch, a header from Wilmington. And now a 50-50 ball will go the way of Wilmington again. They drop it back to the defense. Fulton has it, maneuvers around Estes, and plays it over to the left side. Jada Poland had it. Kicked out of bounds, though. And Pelletier will send it back in for Cap. Pelletier line drives it into Woodruff, and she sends it to the Capital bench. Throw in for Wilmington now on the near sideline. Fulton, one hopper. Good defense by Cap. That was English all the way out in the midfield, and a foul is called as she was held by Wilmington.
Just the third foul of the game for the Quakers. Capital has one. Both teams now sitting at 3 shots apiece.
And we've had good pace and pretty good possession from both teams in this one. But still only 6 total shots between the two teams. We'll see if that ticks up throughout the night. Leonetti trying to feed one through to Estes, and that's going to go out of bounds. Into the corner. Throw in for the Quakers. Not a goal kick. Ball is tossed in pretty deep. And a really good trap there by Scott to keep it alive. And now Scott turns and goes. That ball's got some English towards the sideline. And it goes out of bounds, fortunately for Capital. Pelletier looking upfield on the throw-in. And headed away. Leonetti sends it on again. And Wilmington will take control themselves now. Gordon taking some open space. That's a really nice ball. Good touch to Poland. Now to Wilson. Wilson trying to get past English. Poland on sides. Receives the pass. Swings it in. No one's home. And Markham clears it away, but kind of missed it. A lot of backspin on that one. Helped along again in the midfield. Woodruff trying to get it out completely. Markham pushing the pressure away from the net. Pass goes to Wilson. I'm sorry, that is actually Fulton playing up there for Wilmington. The ball is loose. I thought we were going to see a foul there, but we don't. And as we play on, Capital is able to get it clear for the time being. These outer backs from Wilmington trying to keep the pressure on. They're not quite as aggressive offensively as Capital's outer backs, but they still get involved. Elliott slows it down to Ogden. Ogden back up top to Markham. Markham controls for Cap. And now Avery Hart shoved to the ground. That's a pretty easy foul call. Capital does have a sub waiting to come on. It's Tori Cottrell, junior out of Milford, Ohio. And she'll be coming in after the free kick here. Markham will take it. She's about 55 yards away from the front of the net. Wilmington's defense is playing up at the top of the box, so no one from Capital is in yet. And this one goes to the far sideline, actually. Angling it over towards Pelletier. She's trying to control, trying to get some help. Buying time, turning right, and loses possession. Leonetti, nice job to stick her foot in the passing lane. And now Estes has some momentum. Estes into the box, getting jockeyed off the ball by Gordon. And Gordon now will clear. Kept in bounce by Poland. Poland working against Leonetti, and Leonetti, nice kick there to kick it off the left foot of Poland for a throw-in for Capital. Cottrell will replace Estes. She'll go into the midfield, and Woodruff will go up top as a striker on the right wing now. Looks like Ogden is moving up as well into that midfield spot that was occupied by Woodruff, and Cottrell's playing more of a defensive midfield role where Ogden usually starts. So that's kind of the realignment here for Capital. Haley Moore on the pass from English up to Markham. Cottrell's there to help, and Markham doesn't need it. Markham doing it all on herself here. And a nice pass up to Ogden now. Ogden has space and goes up high with it out in front of Elliott. No numbers here for Capital. Elliott will slow things down. Chips it into the box, and the long dribble is kicked out of bounds by Wilmington. 11 minutes left till halftime here. Ball's thrown in. And Markham tries to swing it on in. Kicked out of bounds. Markham and Elliott, the freshman, up on the far end of the field. Avery Hart into the picture now. The throwing goes to Hart. Hart controls it. Hart passes to Ogden. Into the box and out of the box and out of bounds. Actually, that's going to stay in on the high end of the field. Controlled nicely by Wilson. Wilson cuts to the mid now. And excellent defense by Capital defensively. That's Haley Moore. They go out wide once again to Elliott. Elliott has it in the box, crosses. Avery Hart in a really good position, takes the shot off of the post. Well, when Avery's in that position, you just expect it to go in, and Hart got a really good shot off despite a defender on her left hip, and it goes right off of the post. Cap trying to keep the pressure on here. Ogden has it. Ogden had a shot blocked. It goes to Hart again. She's going to have a really good chance. It's cleared away right before she can get it on the right foot. Leonetti trying to control now for Capital, and she'll play it back to Markham. Cap right on the doorstep of their second goal here, trying to see if they can finish this sequence. Elliott gets taken down. No whistle. Elliott able to get a touch on it again. Tries to keep it in bounds. Does. Well, Wilmington has possession. He goes back to Gordon. Gordon with the left foot chips it upfield. That's a handball that's not called, and it goes out of bounds off of Cap. Looked like that hit the right wrist of Scott. 3 subs coming on for Wilmington. First off, it's Josie Ferris. Next, we have number 28, Riley Lefevre. And I believe it was Madalena Knotts as the third sub there. We'll confirm that in a second. I believe that was number 23. Throw-in goes to the near side of the field, and that's Scott who plays it all the way back to Houston. Wilmington will try the high end of the field. It goes all the way to Alford, who dives on it, sliding to the top of your screen there. English tries to feed it out through the high end of the field. The last sub, actually, Madeline Kellogg, number 20, checking in. So it's Ferris, Lefevre, and Kellogg checking in for Wilmington. That last substitution there just a few seconds ago. Woodruff will control for Capital, meanwhile. 7.5 minutes to play. And, they did call the foul. I didn't hear the whistle. Cottrell was just ran over and was waiting to hear the whistle that I never heard there. Markham Up the far end to Elliott. Back to Markham. Not the cleanest pass there. Markham has to scramble and gets it to Moore. And now Moore has all kinds of space. Plays it to English. English forward to Cottrell. Taken away. Quakers have some numbers. Into the box to Scott. Scott crosses, not a good cross there. And Abby English will knock that down for Capital. English now sends it upfield. Wilmington gets it right back. Need to relieve this pressure here. Scott with a good shot to Elford, who has to put the hands up to make the save. Looked like it was maybe sailing wide, but actually hung right on that post, and Elford may get credited for the save there. We'll double check that in a second. English passing it forward now. And chipped upfield. Nice pass there. That was Cottrell who gets it up to Markham. And Markham working with Elliott and Hart now on the far end of the field. There was a save credited to Alford on the shot from Maddie Scott. Good touch to Ogden. Ogden will run back with it instead. Gives it to Pelletier now. L brings it into the corner. And that's a corner kick for Capital. Not just a throw-in. Woodruff will take it for Capital. This is already the third corner kick for Cap. Oh, actually, they're going to say that's off of Wilmington. That's the wrong call there, and Gordon comes away with it now for the Quakers. Was standing up to get a better view of the corner kick, and all of a sudden Wilmington is bringing it to this side of the field. Cap gets a quick steal right back. They've got some decent numbers here, 4-on-4 the other way, and nicely done. Stepping forward to break that play up was Van Such, and now she's working with Scott. Pinballed outside to Van Such, and Pelletier gets back in time. Pelletier now sends it out of bounds. And a throw in for the Quakers. 5 minutes left till half. 1-0 Capital on an early goal from Lizzie Elliott. Pelletier kicks it out again, but does a nice job to keep the pressure away from the net. Josie Ferris was the Quaker with it. English sends it out, or Cottrell sends it out of bounds here defensively now. Thrown into the box. Cottrell has it off of the bounce, and she sends it upfield. Controlled by Houston. Back to Gordon. Gordon tries to get past Hart. She does. And now Gordon chips it upfield. She really wanted to send that downfield, but Capital's defense playing up nicely there to keep the ball away from their box. So she had to go for kind of a 20-foot loft pass with some backspin, and it didn't work. Now a steal at midfield. Leonetti starting the run for Cap. And out of bounds. Throw in for White. Be tossed in by Markham here. Leonetti. Back to Markham. Back to Leonetti. Out of bounds again. Markham calls for a ball quickly. And she'll throw it upfield this time to Avery Hart. Controls it with the bottom of her foot. It goes back out to Markham. Markham centering, and now tries to feed it to Woodruff. No one on the weak side here. And it's controlled by Wilmington. Sent upfield by Haley Fulton at midfield. A lot of white jerseys around. Cap comes away with it. Pelletier and Ogden working together. Pelletier to Woodruff. Tried to back heel it to Ogden and couldn't exactly get it through. Thrown in now with a header by Wilmington back to the midfield. It goes all the way up to the high end of the field. Markham. 2.5 minutes to play. Capital trying to gear up for one more push here. Crossed in. One hop to Elliott. Comes out to Ogden. Forward to Avery Hart, and just a little bit too far out in front of Hart. It'll go clean through to Galloway. And Galloway will punt it away. Exactly 2 minutes showing on the first half clock. Headed by Cottrell. Cap has plenty of time here. They were on the doorstep of getting goal number 2 just a few minutes back. Avery Hart hitting the post. Wilmington now just keeping the ball away from their net here, trying to feed off the last minute. Alford to the near sideline to Pelletier. 1:15 to play. Sent forward to Hart. And Gordon doesn't get much on that clear. Pelletier keeps it going. Too far out in front of Woodruff. Sent away again. Looks like Wilmington's basically playing for the tie. Just as I say that, they're going to have a good chance here with under a minute left. Scott in the box, working one-on-one with Moore. Scott passes. No one's home. Bad pass. I think you just take the shot there. There was about 7 white jerseys and 1 teammate there for Scott, excuse me. And I think you just let one rip there and see what happens. Now, before that moment, though, I was saying it just seemed like the Quakers were keeping the pressure away from their own net here, trying to mitigate the damage down to 1 goal here at the end of the half. And now potentially trying to steal a goal here at the end of the half. They have the ball on the right end of the field. They only have 20 seconds to work with, so they're going to need to do something quickly here. Scott tries to clear in center. Back to Scott, who takes the shot. Nice angle on it. Had some good side spin to it, but it goes wide of the net. Alford was ready on the far post anyway, if it was on target, and that's how the half comes to an end. A very early goal, Lizzie Elliott's first of her career, and it puts Capital in front by a count of 1-0. We have 15 minutes on the clock for halftime break, and we'll catch you after that here from Bernlohr. And welcome back to Bernlohr Field here at Bernlohr Stadium. Enter Sandman to bring us into half number 2 as we switch sides. Capital moving from right to left. The Quakers moving from left to right now. Temperature dropping quite a bit here now, as it was around mid-70s at kickoff, and now we're back down into the 60s and approaching the 50s soon. As soon as the sun goes down, the temperature changing drastically here at Bernlohr. 1-0 Capital. They lead. They were outshot by Wilmington, actually, 5-4 in the first half. 2 saves made by Liv Alford in net. And that's the difference right now as the Quakers trying to stop this run from Capital. Elliott has another chance at one and squared up with the goalie, and good defense there, kicking it off of Elliott from behind. And it turns into a goal kick after not even getting a shot off there. Elliott with her first career goal in the game's 3rd minute, and that's the difference still to this point. A lead for the Comets, 1-0. Wilmington used 5 different subs in that first half. Capital just had 1 sub, as Estes played for 34 minutes and Cottrell played for 12, and the rest of the starters, Pelletier, English, Woodruff, Ogden, Elliott, Hart, Moore, Markham, and Leonetti, were out there for the entire 45-minute period. We'll check on some OAC scores later this half, as well as Capital looks to keep this lead, make it 2-0, and set up a big-time matchup on Saturday with Ohio Northern. Throw-in coming for Wilmington on the far end of the field. Throw in on the far end for Cap this time. A lot of back and forth passing on the far end of the field. The Quakers have it now centering, trying to find some space down there. And it worked as they get some momentum going towards the net, but Alfred will come out and grab it for Capital. It'll go back the other way now to the Quakers here. Not a lot of momentum being generated for either side here. A lot of just kicking it back and forth, trying to find possession here. It's kind of how the first half started as well. And then Capital was able to come away with a odd number situation. Estes finding Elliott out in front of everybody. And since then, we've been level. Or we haven't level, we've been steady at the 1-0 score that we currently have. Throw in for Capital, getting some field position now. Ogden with the fake off of the bounce. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Nice stop here by Leonetti. So good with her feet. Played on to Woodruff. Woodruff sends it out wide to Elliott. Elliott crossing in. That ball's loose. Not going to get a shot off here, but Capital will get possession out of it. On the far end, it's Estes. Hart drops it back into the midfield. Sent in by Leonetti. Sent right back out and pushed on. Abby English sends it back in. Ball flutters in front of the box, and Elliott trying to come back to the ball. Did get the touch on it, but it goes to a Quaker. And Moore has it Scott, has it on the other side. Wilson and Scott start the second half together after Scott didn't get the initial start of this game. And they're kind of probably hoping that she can stay out there the rest of it, coming back. She has missed a few games. Sent in on a strong cross into the box by the Quakers. Leonetti and Pelletier work to get it out, and those two still working at it. It goes upfield to Estes on the far sideline. Estes will dribble it out of bounds, but does give Capital some space. 5 minutes have gone by second half, and still no scores in the first minutes of this half as opposed to what we saw in the first. Pelletier. Well, actually, that gets past Pelletier, and the ball goes towards the front corner of the net. And an excellent shot once again by Maddie Scott. Goes over the net, and it's going to be a goal kick for Capital, but still pretty good ball sent on to the net there. Alford stays in there, by the way. We weren't sure if we were going to see White come on or if they were going to let Alford try to finish this off. Pass into Scott once again. She's dangerous. She's proven that in the last few minutes. Markham for Capital, trying to find safety. Kicks it out of bounds. Tried to draw a foul. Not able to. And the Quakers will throw it in. They do so quickly. And it comes out now to Bradford. Pelletier trying to defend on the far end. A ball that's sent into the side of the netting of the goal. So the Quakers have had really good momentum early in this half. They've had a lot of possession here, and they've done a nice job of keeping play on this end of the field. Capital has stood up to the task so far. Ball's down in the box. The Quakers trying to feed it to someone here that can get a shot off. Scott sends another missile to the net. And Alford is there to protect the net. Capital now on a counter push the other way. And Hart sends one on. And an easy save made on the other end by Lauren Galloway. So after not seeing a lot of shots in the first half, we're starting to see a lot more activity in the shot column for both sides here in the second half, as we just saw 2 shots in less than a minute. Ball goes out in front of Avery Hart now for Capital, and that's going to be too far for a goal kick. Let's get some updates on the OAC scoreboard while we have a moment. Some halftime scores from the 4 other games in action tonight. And not a lot of scoring so far from what I can see. In the first game, Otterbein and Ohio Northern, they're in action in the second half. And no score in that one to this point. 3-0 lead for Mount Union over Baldwin Wallace. Marietta is in action with Muskingum, and that game is 1-1 in the 58th minute. And we'll have to go to another source for the John Carroll score. We'll get that one in just a second. Lizzie Elliott into the box. Elliott stops, shoots, and it pinballs in front of the net. Shot is blocked and now taken away by Wilmington, sent back towards Markham on the near sideline. She's able to keep it in play. Markham keeping the push alive. Woodruff to Avery Hart, and that's going to go all the way through. Now a foot race on this end of the field. English will kick it away from Wilson, and Alford sends it up into the stands above the Wilmington bench. It'll bounce back down. while we have a second chasing down the ball. Finals, well, not the final, but the last score to bring you. It's John Carroll playing host to Heidelberg at Bernlohr Stadium. And that one's loading up here. It is currently 1-0 Heidelberg over John Carroll in that game. So it's an OAC scoreboard update for you all. Another cross, and Alford takes away any shot attempt there from Wilmington. Both teams clapping. Wilmington liking the momentum they're getting in front of the net. And Capital liking the fact that nothing showing up on the scoreboard there. Leonetti and Markham working to get it out. Markham tries to back heel it off of Wilmington and Scott, and it doesn't work. Moore is there to sweep it away, and now Moore can clear. Passes instead to Markham, and that's going to go out of bounds off of Cap. Yeah, Markham tried to sell it, but no, not going to work there. Throw in, or this is gonna be a corner kick down there in the corner. Sorry, a little bit of a difficult view for me down there in that corner. So a corner kick coming for the Quakers. Here's the kick onto the front of the cage. Oh, that just went over the crossbar. Excellent ball sent in on the other side by Haley Fulton. And I'm not sure who got a touch on it, but someone sent that thing towards the top left corner of the net, and it almost went in. Capital will make a substitution. Coming out is Lizzie Elliott, and she'll be replaced by Catherine Zugaro, number 28. So Zugaro gets back into action. She's been a starter at the forward position for Capital for most of the season. Elliott replaced her today in the starting lineup and scored a goal, so that's probably a change we're going to see more of. Ball sent out in front of Zugaro, goes too far. Ogden sends it to the middle of the field. Zugaro is going to have a run on this, and Avery Hart cuts to the net as well. Miscommunication from the Quakers. They are able to save it out of bounds here, and that was almost a goal for Capital. If Zugaro gets the touch on that, she sends it over to Avery Hart, and that's the end of this game probably with the 2-0 lead. It can all change in a blink of an eye just like that. Wilson and Scott have been pretty lethal on this end of the field for Wilmington since Scott was entered into this contest. She sat out the first, looks like 24 minutes. She's been in the game since then. She's a senior with 3 goals this season, and she has been peppering shots at the net. She now has 4 of Wilmington's 8 shots, and they're all kind of missiles off her foot. So she is dangerous. Capital knows this. 31 minutes left in the game. Too much time to feel safe. You really want to get one more here if you're Cap. And they're trying. Zugaro puts it in front of Ogden. Ogden not able to win a foot race. It's kicked out of bounds. Scott and Wilson again on the tandem here. Abby English wins the foot race, kicks it away from Wilson. Good closing speed there. It looked like it was not going to be one there. It looked like Wilson was going to be out in front of English, or at least get the first touch on it. And that was not the case. Wilmington controlling in the corner, and that's almost a foul there against Cap. Is that going to be a throw-in or a corner? I think it's a throw-in. Looked like that could have been a foul against Capital in the corner there. And Wilmington doing that strategy where the ball's just kind of possessed in front of the flag. You usually see that as kind of a end-of-game play to run out the clock. You don't usually see it in that context with 30 minutes left in the game and maybe some frustration let out defensively there for Capital. This one's dribbled out of bounds. After some activity on the far end, it's going to be a throw-in for Cap now. Be thrown in deep towards Hart and Estes up the far end of the field. Cleared away by Wilmington. Sent up the far end now. And kicked out of bounds as Hart was trying to cross. The shot was blocked, and fortunately for Capital, it's going to be a corner kick now. And the ball sent in on the corner by Woodruff. It was in a good area. Now Leonetti winding up for the kick. It got blocked. So two good touches there, one blocked and one just kind of floating in front of the net. And Cap unable to get someone to redirect it towards the net. Cap comes away with it now, and Hart sends one on to the net, and an easy save made by Lauren Galloway on one hop. Foul called against Capital. .27 minutes to play. Both teams really turning it up intensity-wise, and Wilmington's kind of found a new switch here of turning up the intensity on their offensive attack especially. But Cap has had some nice counters, like here. Woodruff, Hart, back to Woodruff. Woodruff's got a really good look, and she beats the keeper! A little two-man game there. Woodruff to Hart, back to Woodruff, and Woodruff sends it into the corner. And there's a counter push that ends in a goal for Capital. 2-0 on Maddie Woodruff's third goal of the season. And Avery Hart will get her first assist of this campaign here in 2022. Mentioned her as the goal scorer for Elliott in the error, then said she had an assist. And after we cleaned all that up, this time she does feed an excellent pass on to Woodruff, who really freed herself. And that is a good shot into the corner of the net. If it was not in the corner there, then I think the save would have been made by Galloway, even if it was just a few feet over to the right of where that ball ended up going in. It went tucked right inside the post, and it was right where it needed to be for Woodruff to beat Galloway. And now it feels really comfortable, up by 2 with 26 minutes to play. You know Alford is playing for her job potentially back there behind the net. She's trying to shut things down for Capital in between the posts, and she makes another, not save, but another play to secure possession here for Capital as the defense helping her out there, creating a loose ball, and she'll fall on top of that. So you know Alford's shooting for a shutout here. Should be her first career OAC shutout, first of many probably, with how good she's looked in her freshman year. Avery Hart wanting more now. She's in the box. She takes the shot, and it goes high at the net. Ogden controls the ensuing goal kick off of the shot from Hart. Both teams now even at 8 shots apiece. And we might see some more shooting here. Wilson looked like she was going to pass and instead tried to dribble, and English read her like a book and kicks it out of bounds. That shot by Hart is the 9th shot for Capital, so they actually have a shot advantage in this one now. Quakers control on the other side now after the goal kick here from Alford. Time getting short for the Quakers. Still time to find an answer offensively here for the Quakers. They've had some good shots, and if they can get an early one, maybe changes the momentum of this one. But right now, everything on Capital's side. Zagaro working with Hart, and that ball looked like it was just barely tipped, but it went 40 yards upfield. Wilson, who's been really quiet in large parts of the play of Haley Moore, she gets the takeaway. Ogden has it, trying to find something now. Zagaro's offside, so she can't go there, and now Ogden wisely plays it short to Hart. Hart using the speed, and tried to use a give and go there with Estes. Back heel there does not going to work for Scott. Cap gives it right back. Woodruff, Leonetti, and a turnover. Here come the Quakers, and it's out in front of Wilson. She wasn't ready to go upfield with it, and Moore will slow play back down. Sub for Capital, Cottrell coming back on. And she will replace Estes again. Ogden moves up into the midfield role. Woodruff will play up high. Actually, it might be Ogden who plays up high as a forward here instead. Woodruff moved up there last half, and actually Woodruff staying in that attacking midfield, and Ogden's going to go up to the right wing now in the attack. So she's showing off her versatility. Cap, remember, doing all of this with some key injuries. Lexi Snyder still is out, and Breletic is still out for Cap. 2 of their main people missing of their starting 11, 10 of the positional players, not counting the goalie. Nice ball by Hart, and it's to Zagaro, and I see a flag up on the far end of the field. And a late whistle. There's the offsides. Was waiting for the whistle. I saw the flag go up off screen, and that was part of the reason the excitement wasn't there for Zagaro, because I knew that was coming. So she's offsides. Nice moves from Hart, and another, what I call volume shot there, just putting something on the net, hoping something good happens, and another easy save for Galloway, who's kind of padding up her save numbers here in the second half. She's now up to 3. Alfred has made 4 for Capital now. Hart, Woodruff, and Elliott all with 3 shots. 1 shot taken by Haley Moore, which I believe was on a corner kick. So not a lot of activity outside of the big 3 of Elliott, Woodruff, and Hart. You also have the assist from Estes on the first goal. Woodruff does a nice job stepping in front of that pass. Ball is crossed into the middle of the field now. Leonetti turning on the speed and is able to squirt the ball out towards Ogden. Cottrell now in the midfield. Gets the touch on it. Markham tells Moore to slow things down. Moore does just that. Gives it off to Markham, and Markham turns and goes. Under 19 minutes to play. 2-0 lead for Capital. Nice maneuver to get that to Wilson. Wilson has been extremely quiet. She has 5 goals this season. She's only taken 1 shot. It's been the Madison Scott show with 5 shots. Finding creative ways to get the ball at the net, and Alfred's been ready pretty much every time. Zagaro to Woodruff, and now sent upfield by Cottrell. That's a missed touch by Gordon, and Hartz is not able to get there first. If Gordon doesn't get that slide tackle away, Avery Hart probably makes this a 3-0 game. Instead, the Quakers have possession. Capital keeping the pressure away. And it goes all the way back to the Wilmington side of the field. Play goes down to Markham. Markham works it upfield towards Hart. Nice job defensively from Wilmington. Avery Hart passes in. Ogden gets it back to Hart. Hart winds up. Didn't have the angle, and it's cleared away by Wilmington. Good pressure towards the net, but nothing to finish off the play there. Capital controlling in the midfield, trying to get another rush going. Woodruff and Cottrell working together. Woodruff's been all over the field today.
And the big goal to make this thing a little bit more easy at 2-0 now.
Pass goes to Hart from Zagaro this time. They're really trying to feed Avery Hart. And with 15 minutes left, she may just find one here. Cottrell winds up, sends it to Ogden. Too far. Good ball. A little too much juice on it. And a substitution coming for Wilmington. They'll have Houston check back in. Ferris checking back in. And Menges, who we haven't seen since the start of the game with Madison Scott, checking in for her. And Menges is back in, and now Scott heads to the bench and won't be out there for the last 15 minutes. She's been a big source of their offense today, so interesting to see her come out in this situation here. Zagaro and Hart at it again. Zagaro with a spin move and lost possession.
Quakers kick it away now. They really haven't found anything in the late going here. It's been all Capital since the Woodruff goal.
English punches it to midfield again.
Played down to Markham.
Up the far end of the field, the Quakers trying to find any room in this defense. Pelletier defending with English. They're able to find a little bit of room, a cross in, and English sends it out of bounds off her body. 13 minutes to play, and a corner kick coming for Wilmington. And they basically need to score off of this sequence here if they want any chance to tie this thing up down by 2. It'll be Haley Fulton to take the kick. Here's the kick now, crossed in. It's a good spot. It's headed on net, and a save made by Alfred. That was sent on by number 17, Jada Pullen, who's a very big target out there. She headed it in towards Alfred, and Alfred kind of had some contact with one of the strikers on the left side. I think that was Wilson for Wilmington, and Alfred standing up tall,
showing that she kind of owns that spot. That'll be an interesting battle between those two in the years to come. A pretty talented freshman in Alex Wilson, scoring 5 goals already for Wilmington this season, and Alfred, who's 12 minutes away from a shutout in her first OAC game ever.
That ball's going to stay in bounds up the far end of the field for Hart. Hart swings it back. Chipped in now. Ogden's there, and Ogden takes a shot. It's loose. Coming way out of the net and making the save is Galloway. Now sent in by Avery Hart and off of the foot of Ogden wide. Stays in play. Unable to get the redirect. They tried again. Headed in and headed wide. Or sent in with the foot and headed wide by Sophia Leonetti. Decent ball there from Cottrell to keep that play alive. And she filled the space nicely there on the weak side. The real chance there was the Hart to Ogden. And maybe even the save before that on Ogden. So Colette, 2 chances there at her first. And Galloway, again, one of the more veteran goalkeepers here in the OAC, and she holds her ground. This game very easily could be 3 or 4-0. Yeah, honestly, it could be 3 or 4 to 1 or 2 on the other side. There's been some nice shots from Scott, and Alfred's made some good saves as well. Where it stands, it's 2-0. But want to give both goalkeepers some appreciation for the way they've played in this one. Ogden on the push again. Here's Hart. Off of the heels of Ogden. Hart fakes to Zagaro. Now kicks it to Ogden instead. It's loose in the box. Zagaro has it. Has the drop to Markham. Capital wants one more. Markham sent a good ball in. No one was ready, I guess. So she swings it into the net, and the attack was kind of moving away from the net still, so they weren't able to really change direction to get to that in time. And they just kind of let it go towards the net. So a good ball by Markham, almost wasted there. Wilmington getting some movement up the far end of the field here. Nothing really threatening yet. And it's crossed in. There's a threat. Goes wide. Goal kick coming. Ball gets headed right to Ferris. And that one looped high and came down and went over the post. We were talking about the missed opportunities on some goals. Remember, Avery Hart hit the post tonight. And it's actually kind of shocking that Hart hasn't scored with how many good chances she's had in this game. And there's another example on the other side for the Quakers of something that could have gone right, but it just sails over the post. Thrown in by Markham. Ogden sends it all the way down. No one's home for Capital or Wilmington, and it rolls all the way back down to Galloway. Galloway sent it forward, couple of headers, and kicked out of bounds by Markham. Now Capital can start really using the clock as an ally here. 7.5 minutes to play. A reminder, Saturday, 1 o'clock broadcast coming up against Ohio Northern. Will be live a few minutes before we go on the air. Let me rephrase that. We'll be on the air a few minutes ahead of kickoff. Break down some of the scores from OAC play, kind of set the table for the matchup with the Polar Bears. Oh, good stop there defensively for Wilmington. Zagara looking for some help and throws her hands up, basically saying, where is everybody? And kind of forced the pass backwards there that really didn't need to be forced, and it almost turns into trouble, but it's going to be a goal kick. 2 subs, 1 on each side. Capital making a change and putting in Shelby Jackson, number 5, out of Westchester, Ohio. Jackson replaces Zagaro. Comes right out to Jackson, and right into the game, first touch. She puts it out in front of Avery Hart. And she's out there just to provide some fresh legs and keep the play away from their defense here in the last 6 minutes. Cottrell with a good header. Goes right to Pelletier, who's been good. I don't know what the story is with Pelletier. I don't know if she was hurt or something in the game against Otterbein. She had been making all of the starts for Berletic and then did not play in the Otterbein game. Capital had to get somewhat creative defensively
And now she's back in there today. She's played every minute, so I'm not sure what the answer is there. And hopefully Lexi Snyder will be ready on Saturday. We don't have any word there. Again, Berletic is being worked out tomorrow morning for what I've been told. So already on their way to 2-0 and maybe getting some key pieces back for Saturday. And if not, they will have some key pieces hopefully returning as we move through OAC play and get ready for the tournament coming up at the end of the month. I believe the last game usually falls around Halloween weekend. First week in November is when the OAC tournament picks up. Pass into the midfield. Cap has 5 minutes to hold on to the clean sheet here tonight. Almost a done deal that they'll get the win in this one. Played down to Markham. Might not get a final score out of Otterbein and Ohio Northern tonight. Checking on the score there currently. Haley Moore knocking it down for Capital, stopping yet another push. Yeah, the Otterbein Ohio Northern game, 8 minutes left, no score. So that one's probably going to go to overtime, and if so, we won't have the final score of that game before the broadcast concludes here in the next 4 or 5 minutes. So we'll keep an eye on that and check on the scores there. And we'll have an update in the standings before the game on Saturday and set up what could be a matchup between two unbeaten teams with Ohio Northern and Capital. 3:40 left to play, and again, more pressure by the Quakers stopped. Some frustration really coming for Wilson as she turns to some of her teammates on the bench. And I'm not sure what she said, but didn't look happy about it. Capital, after the 2 games here at home with Wilmington and Ohio Northern, they'll go on the road 1 game on Wednesday, the 12th, to play Muskingum. Saturday, the 15th, home against Mount Union. That'll be a night game. 2 more on the road with Marietta and John Carroll, and then 2 more at home to finish the campaign with Heidelberg and Baldwin Wallace on the 29th. So, yeah, the first week in November will be the start of the OAC tournament. So, still 4 more games at home and 3 on the road. They get the benefit of that draw, with 9 games, 5 games at home, 5 games on the road. I'm sorry, 5 games at home, 4 on the road, or vice versa. And this year they get the 5 home games. We have an injured Wilmington player now stopping the clock with 3 minutes and 1 second left. You can see some medical staff gathering for Wilmington. And definitely some pain being exerted here by the Wilmington player, but she's doing her best to walk off the field here. It's good to see her back on her feet so quickly, at least, and she gets a nice applause here from the crowd. Katie Bradford will check back in for Wilmington. Still don't have a number on the injured player here. I believe that might be Gordon, which would be a pretty big loss. But, again, she is putting weight on both of her feet here, so that is good. And that is indeed Gabriella Gordon. Played a really strong game, and now she's walking to the sideline virtually without assistance. So maybe just got cleated really good there on the ankle. Doesn't look like that'll be anything serious long term, fortunately. And Gordon will probably sit out the final few minutes here. Ball sent in by Wilmington. 3 minutes left to play. Alford already alert and gets out from the net. Goes and gets that one, scoops it up, and keeps the pressure away again for another few seconds here. 3 minutes left. And mentioned a few times tonight, but Alford trying to finish off a clean sheet, her first shutout in OAC play if she can do so. Hopefully the first of many. Hart working for that 3rd goal, and she blasts it off a defender here. Actually, again, I'm shocked that Avery Hart hasn't scored tonight with the way she's played. She's been close a few times, and all she's got for it is 5 shots, 2 on goal, and it looks like kind of a quiet day from her. Checking the stats now, Avery Hart has picked up an assist, so I think they may have reviewed that first goal
and changed it to a double assist. You see that sometimes. Yeah, they did. So Avery Hart with 2 assists in this game, and that's a nice thing to see on the stat sheet. So the 3rd-minute goal officially in the books is a Lizzie Elliott goal, assisted by Estes on the primary assist, and Avery Hart as well. And then Hart, obviously, with the assist on the Woodruff give-and-go goal. And that's the 2 scores tonight with 1:30 to play. So it still looks like a strong game on paper for Hart, but again, shocked that she wasn't able to find the back of the net with some quality opportunities she's had. Of course, the one hits the post, doesn't even count as a shot on goal, but I mean, literally hits the goal. Stat that is always a little bit misleading. This is Gordon still working with it for Capital. I'm sorry, Jackson, Shelby Jackson working with it for Capital. And now a ball that's chipped towards the front of the cage. Alfred fields it like a punt return almost, and falls on top of it. 50 seconds left to play, and she'll readjust the socks and now roll it forward. Haley Moore. Actually, that's English. Now passing to Cottrell. Cottrell blasts it forward. Nothing threatening from Cap there, just trying to keep the play away from their net. And with 30 seconds left, we'll see if Cap can withstand one more push from this Wilmington attack and finish off the clean sheet. The pass forward, trying to find Jackson, doesn't get to her. A shot from 30 yards out goes wide, and that will do it for the game tonight. 2 goals for the second OAC win for the Comets. And the time officially expires. Congratulations to Liv Alford, her first career shutout, and she gets her first career win as well in the OAC, and makes Coach Ogden look like a genius that he is. The man leading the Comets for his 8th season gets the win out of his freshman keeper. We'll see what comes Saturday. It's going to be an interesting one. We could have a battle of unbeaten teams. We could have a battle of 2-0 teams even. We'll see how that Otterbein Ohio Northern game turns out. And we'll see if Cap can get healthy before that game. We'll see if we have a change in net or if Alfred's the way to go. And be very interesting to see what Capital decides to do in net on Saturday. Might even see both keepers, who knows. But it'll be interesting. A 1 o'clock game in the afternoon. We'll get things started on the broadcast a little bit before the game and set everything up and get all the standings pushed out. And if you can't make it to the game, we encourage you to listen online, and we'll have the stream ready to go there. I won't be here, but we will have it covered for you. And I'll catch you next time on the 15th for our second home game after this one against Mount Union. That'll be a 7 o'clock game. So 2 Saturdays back-to-back coming for you. We'll have a men's broadcast on Wednesday the 12th as well, as soccer season moves into the almost playoff mode, if you want to say, as we move through the month of October, setting us up for the OAC tournament in November. Both teams looking to get a ticket to the dance, and then, you know, a very high seeding and maybe even some OAC titles as well. And the women seem to be in really good shape with a 2-0 start. We'll see if they can make it 3-0 on Saturday at 1 o'clock. I'm Jimmy Bloomfield. Thanks again for tuning in. Goals from Lizzie Elliott and Madeline Woodruff give Capital a 2-0 win, and the first career win for Liv Alford in OAC play. That about does it here from Bernlohr Field. And we will sign off with a 2-0 win for your Comets. Catch you on Saturday.